Welcome to Let's Get Writing. I'm your host, Kathryn Taylor. This is a show all about the stories behind the stories, and I love to share these with you. My guest today has actually been a guest on an earlier show, and some of the things we touched on provoked so many questions from viewers that I thought I must have her back again, and we'll delve into this experience she had a little more. And that experience was a very traumatic brain injury that she had about 20 years ago as a result of a bicycle accident. It changed her life completely. She has written a wonderful book describing this and also providing tools to people who want to not reinvent, but perhaps realize their life in more and more real and authentic ways. And it's called Alive and Thriving. And that's exactly what she's doing. She is alive and thriving, and she's here with me today. Welcome again, Leslie Bridger. Hi, Leslie.
Thank you so much, Kathryn. I'm delighted to be back and to answer the questions that the last interview really got everybody thinking, wanting to know more.
Isn't that great? Because I think we're here to spur people's ideas and thoughts, and your book is such a catalyst for that. And I think how you describe what happened to you, how you came out of it, the tools you used, and then the tools you provide to people, it's just a wonderful gift to the world. And you actually say, it's the gift I needed. So can you just talk a little bit about that?
Right. I think a lot of people viewing, I had been living my life from more of a place from should, like I needed to live a certain way, and that if I achieved this, I would be happy and successful. I lived away for 27 years. I'm a proud Newfoundlander, but I lived in Toronto for 23 years, living the life I thought I should be living, working in the corporate world and then starting a business. I, but I had forgotten who I really was
Mm-hmm.
and what brought me joy because I was too busy to do that. And I was making money and owned a house and had bills to pay. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I was living my life from here
Right.
and not from here. And I had forgotten, as I already said, what made me come alive.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a possibility to live both of these. And I'm here now, alive and thriving, to awaken millions to their brilliance while they're still alive. Heaven is here on earth. And I'm here to show people how to live it. I had to almost die to get to that place. But
Well,
that's why I'm still here,
you're
to
still
help
here.
people understand, because they're going to get to the other side and they're going to say, oh my God, I wish I knew that.
Mm.
That's what I said. And so now I'm here shining the light to help people get to that place.
Well, let's talk about that. That's what you said. Because that was one of the questions. We want to know more about what Leslie experienced through her near death experience and delve into that. So, how was it for you? How do you remember this? How did you tap into it when you came out? Just, I'm going to give this to you to talk about because I'm not sure I know the
Okay.
right questions to ask, but I'll jump in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting because words can't explain what I felt, but I will do my best. So I was living in Toronto. I was cycling down a hill to get to a bicycle path. And I didn't find this out till later, but my bicycle hit, my front wheel hit a pothole and I was thrown over the handlebars, landed directly on my face and my head, and slid down the road, did serious damage to the left side of my body. What happened when that happens is my soul, my energy left my body, and I was up in the sky. And I've read many near death experiences about people who see themselves in that, what just happened. I didn't see that. I was way, 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 way up in the sky looking down on planet Earth. I didn't understand what was going on, but my soul was there. um, I was given a life review. So it's like before all of this happened, I was given a life review where I was shown from birth until that moment. But what happened as soon as I was in this energy, I felt the most loved, appreciated, supported, uplifted. I was in this immense field of unconditional love. And I, as I said, I can't put it in words. I felt loved, embraced, supported like I never had before. Well, I did. I mean, I felt that obviously. We feel this before we come into this physical existence. But I understood that I was so much more than my physical body. And in this energy field, it's love, it's peace, it's joy. And believe me, the corporate woman would have, when I heard those words before, I thought it was crazy. I didn't get it. I experienced it. I felt so loved. And I understood that I was perfect exactly as I was. I didn't need to fix or change anything. That I was always, always, always loved unconditionally. There wasn't a God up there that was looking at me and saying, oh my God, you're not a good person because you're this or you're that, or, the mistakes you've made. I was loved unconditionally. And that was just life changing, life
Mm-hmm.
changing. And that's when I was taken on the life review where I got to see everything I had been through in my life, like not everything, but the major things, and that I had judged as bad or wrong or that happened to me. I got to see it through the eyes of God, source, the universe, whatever word you want to use that feels comfortable for you, and got to see it through those eyes and understand that nothing happened to me. Everything happened through me and for me and as the divine being that I am. So I got to see it through the eyes of love, that everything I had experienced in my life helped me to be the magnificent being that I am now. I could have chosen different things, and I'm not to say that I've done everything perfectly or good. I struggle just like everybody else, but I've learned to be in this place of love and light and see it through a different lens instead of judgment and blame,
Mm-hmm.
which I used to in the past.
With lots of dings there, which is fine, Leslie. Nice reminder that we're alive here. When you were there, did you have a sense of time or a passage of time or any? Not at all. No.
No, time is an illusion that we've created. And I'm reminded of this every single day because we're busy. We do a lot of things. I speak. I have a life where I see friends. I go for walks. I mean, there's a lot going on. But when I get into that place of overwhelm and fear, the universe is, sweetheart, remember, you're in this place. Like, time is an illusion. You can get a lot done. You can. And it's learning. So I've learned how to tap into this energy field and live in this space throughout my day. I
Mm-hmm.
live in a state of love, peace, joy. And again, if someone had told me I would be speaking it about this when I was the corporate woman, I would have thought, yeah, no, that's not happening.
You might not have known how to do it in that other state
I
of mind.
wouldn't have.
No, but you came out
I,
of that
I,
experience with a gift. You had these divine healing truths that I almost feel like they downloaded into you, or it was a gift that came out of that experience. How do you describe it?
right. So I used to, initially I thought, well, it was downloaded.
Mm-hmm.
But what I understood afterwards is that, and I used to hear this before and I didn't quite understand or believe it, but we are so much more than our physical body. We are these immense energetic beings. So while I was up there in the sky, I was shown before I was taken on the life review. As I said, I was in this field of unconditional love and support, but I was shown the planet with this divine matrix, like this beautiful billions of light, like these immense balls of light, billions of them connected to all of the other lights around the world. And I didn't understand what it was. And then I was shown that one of those balls of light was me. And in it, there was one dot. And that one dot in this immense ball of light was my physical existence. And I'm there, oh,
Hmm.
oh, not to say that my physical existence was not important, but it was a reminder that I'm part of an energy field that's massive. And that I was here to help people understand that this energy is there to support us in this life. And it's not about doing more or trying harder. It's understanding that we are this, we're connected to this always, but we've consciously forgotten. And it's remembering that we are this, and then having these tools. That's why I wrote the book, because these divine truths I've converted into 5 steps to help people access this energy field in a way that's simple yet not easy. That's why I wrote the book, as a guide to help people, because we are this.
And I do think,
And
Leslie, we forget that we are this because we do, as you did, get caught up in life. There's been a great deal of work in this area by so many authors. I'm going to say over the past maybe 20, 25 years, this direction has come to life in so many ways through the works of people. And now your book has found a place. What are you hearing back from people who read your book? And I know at times you hold their hands, you offer coaching, you do that work as well. But what are some of the most profound things that you hear back from your readers?
I that I've helped them connect to parts of themselves that they were afraid to talk about and share. Basically, that's the big one. Because, like me, I had moments before that I would tap into this, but then I didn't trust and believe it. So I hold a safe space for people to understand that they're not crazy. There are going to be some people that think they are, and that they're nuts if they're not living in this way, based in fear and overwhelm and struggle. I used to be there, and sometimes I still find myself there. But the big thing is, thank you for holding this space for me to honor me, for me to honor the gifts that I was afraid to share with people.
Leslie, you touched upon that at times. Sometimes people are skeptical, and people are skeptical of these experiences and things. What do you say to people like that? Or do you need
I
to say
totally
anything?
understand. Well, I just say I totally understand, because I used to be that person. I used to think that as well, until I was on the other side and I was shown this. So, I understand. Basically, that's what I say, because I do. I used to be that person.
Very simple. And sometimes the best answers are the simplest ones. There were some very difficult things, and they probably were in your life review, that you had to make a decision whether or not to share in your book. And can we talk about these? Can you share these with us? What were some of the most difficult life changing events that you went through that finally brought you were able to write these down and share them with the world?
Right. The first thing was, because I'd had a brain injury, and in my experience, I it's not like I downloaded the information. I instantly remembered the information that we're born knowing, that we are at our very core. And I saw how some people looked at me when I said that, especially not long after the accident, because I'd had a brain injury. And so it's taken me this long to write the book, because I wasn't ready and the world wasn't ready to hear the messages. And So that was number one, like saying, we're spiritual beings in human form and we're so much more than this physical existence. And we are powerful creators. We are divinity in human form. I wouldn't have said that 19 years ago. I wasn't ready because I saw how, as I said, people looked at me like, I don't know, she hasn't been the same since the brain injury.
Mm-hmm.
No, I haven't been. I haven't been, which I'm very grateful for. The second thing was there were many experiences in my life, but one in particular that I had been afraid to share was that I had been sexually abused by an uncle for a number of years. And yeah, so that was difficult for me to share, but I understand that I need to share it for other people, other women, other men, to be able to openly talk about this and understand that yes, it's challenging. I get it. I've been there. It was 4 years of hell, but it also helped me in so many ways to be more loving, kind, and compassion with other people who've gone through the same thing.
A very difficult thing, and you were quite young. You were, I think, around 8,
11,
during the period
11 until I was 15.
until you were 15. Yeah, and
Mhm.
when someone goes through something like this, do you ever really recover from it, or what tools? How did you come out of that? I know your father at one point when he had heard about it, he was very upset. You had to deal with your parents. It was a very difficult thing for you to even share or talk about.
Yes, it was. And look, I get it. Like what I found is that because I understand that I am so much more than the physical existence, I'm not caught here. It's not to diminish what I've been through. Because yes, I can still feel it. It's energetically a part of me, who I am. However, since I live and breathe the five divine healing truths and the steps that I write about in the book, I've learned to become an observer of my life where I'm not caught in the ego driven drama, where it's, oh my God, that happened to me. I'll never be the same. And again, it's not to diminish what anybody's been through, because I know life is hard. There are many challenges, and I've been through many of them. However, you can get to a place of unconditional love for yourself. And I have lovingly forgiven my uncle, not to say that it's okay that it happened, but I understood that when I was in that state of blame and shame and unforgiveness, that wasn't hurting him, it was hurting me because it was energetically stored in my body. So that was one thing. While I was up there, it was like all of that was transformed into loving energy for myself and for everyone involved so that I could see it through different eyes. And again, not to diminish what anybody's been through, but you can get to a place where it doesn't control you and you're not in a constant state of shame and blame and feeling less than and with all this trauma in your body.
Mm.
You can rise above it.
I certainly hear the forgiveness, and anything, many times when we hear of horrific crimes against people, and it seems like the peace is found at the moment of forgiveness. And that's a message I hear over and over. And I guess we, according to what you've shared with us, which I truly believe in, we have to forgive ourselves for things we do in our own lives. Forgive the little person in us for things that maybe hurt us years ago, or we have hurt other people. So it's a huge thing, and I'm glad that we're tuning into it. You do coaching, and how do you work with people? Do you work virtually? Do you sit down with them? A combination of all that?
I do both. And it's interesting because I kind of stepped back from my coaching because my parents weren't well. And then I was writing the book. But I am back coaching again. I've got two programs based on the book called Alive and Thriving. I've got a fast track program, which is 6 weeks, and week by week, I go through a step. It's a virtual call online, but if they're here in St. John's and they want to meet in person, then that's possible. Um, and then it will be audio messages that I send during the week. I also have a Live and Thriving Mastery program, which is 6 months. So people who want to dive deeper and truly want that support to live and breathe these truths, because you'll get to the other side and wish you had something like this. It may not be me, but there are many people out there to help you tap into your incredible magnificence while you are still here alive on earth.
Mm, beautiful message. And Leslie, do you have other books or other plans for more writing? What's in the future?
Yes, I am going to be. Actually, I wrote a story in another book, which was published a couple of years ago. But I did write another book before I wrote Alive and Thriving. It's called AWE, for Humanity, Awakening Wisdom from the Elements. Now, again, the corporate me I would never have shared this, but since the accident, I've learned to connect to the bigger energy. So I'm always tapped into the energy field where I get ideas for writing, and the elements are always here to help us uplift our energy. So, Awe for Humanity is awakening wisdom from the elements, and it's here to help us be the best versions of ourselves. That hopefully will be coming out next year at some point, and I'm really excited about that. So, I'm also giving talks. Whenever I can, get out there and share this message for those who are willing to open their minds and hearts to hear this wisdom. I'm here to always lovingly impart the wisdom that I gained from almost dying.
And certainly, when the student is ready, the message appears. And I think people find you with that sort of intention. They are at the right time in their life to hear you. When
Right.
I wanted to, before we wrap up, your mother at one point was so very, very sick. She was given a terminal cancer diagnosis, but she was ready to hear your message. And just again, tell us briefly about that transition for your mother and the surprise that your father, a medical doctor, felt when she went through this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I left the corporate world. 4 days later, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 terminal cancer, and she was given months to live. Before that, I had read, I don't know, 10 books about near death experiences and about how people heal miraculously. And it was using tools that I had helped myself to heal from mental emotional breakdowns. I didn't know if it was going to work for my mom. So what I did was I shared these simple things about remembering that, you're so much more. I didn't use those words back then, but it was tapping into an inner power that I didn't quite understand. This was before my near death experience. It was about laughing and playing and not giving up, and meditating and connecting with plants and trees and healthy meals. And dad was looking at me like I was crazy, but he didn't say anything. 6 months after the accident, mom went for another CAT scan, and dad came home wide eyed and looked at me and said, "You're not going to believe this, Leslie. Your mother's cancer is virtually gone." And I knew then that I needed to share this. And this was 4 years before I had my accident. And I started speaking across the country, helping people to tap into this energy. It wasn't as in depth. I wasn't as confident. I was still afraid that people were going to call me nuts and crazy. And I'm not there anymore, because people will. And I understand. I get it, because I used to be one of those people.
But you were brave. You went forward. I guess the seeds were starting to unfold there for you to go and speak your truth in front of people and be prepared to do that. But your mother certainly benefited from it. And I believe in the health journey of all of our lives, that it's so important to just take the time. You, in particular, you love nature, you're a nature photographer, for us to slow down and get off that linear track and enjoy some of the things we do. I was at a conference recently, and Kate Davis, comic, she's a wonderful comic, she spoke and she said that as children, we would laugh 300 times a day, but as adults, maybe 15. So what a tremendous difference when we lose that childlike play, the way of looking at the world, the way of connecting with people, and everything just becomes so heavy. And it's difficult. I mean, we know what we're living through right now. It's very difficult. There's fear, and we just don't know where the world is going. But do you still feel grounded? We're just gonna, any last words for people as we wrap? And I really appreciate you taking this time, Leslie, to delve more into these topics with me. I think it will answer some of the questions that weren't answered in our last show. But a final message to the viewers, I'll give that to you.
Right. Yes, that if you take away one thing, I want you to remember that you already are connected to this energy field, and it's learning to laugh, play, have fun. I'm continuously reminded. And when you think that you're too busy is when you need to do it most. You really need to make the time to slow down, because when I was pushing and forcing my way through the busyness, I became less effective, less efficient. I was not well. And so I would also invite the readers to reach out to me. They can go on my website, lesliebridger.com/writing, and you will get a Remember Who You Are meditation. And then you'll be on a list of, where I'm going to give you tips and tools to help you connect with this energy field that you already are. And it's not about you going anywhere else. It's about you allowing the energy that you already are to be actively present in your day-to-day life.
Thank you so much, Leslie. What a beautiful note to end this show on. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and I thank you so much for your support. Please subscribe to my channel on YouTube, and I'll continue to bring you captivating guests and stories.